This episode begins back in the dungeon and we see that it's just before the statues are about to make the finishing blow on Jinwoo. He sees the window telling him congratulations on becoming a player before he bolts upright in bed. Jinwoo is alive and in hospital and he checks his legs and arms to see that he is fully healed without a mark. Two men enter the room and the first man introduces himself as Woo Jin-cho. He is a manager from the Hunters Association surveillance team and the other man is Kang Tae-shi. Jinwoo finds out that he was unconscious for 3 days and he asks about Mr. Sung and Joo-hee and is told that they made it out of the dungeon safely. There was only 6 survivors of the double dungeon. Woo Jin-cho tells Jinwoo that when the White Tiger Guild was informed and they went into the gate, they did not find any evidence of a double dungeon, they only find Jinwoo collapsed on the ground. He then goes on to tell them that the group did not come under suspicion as all the stories matches up and there was no sign of the bodies of the hunters that were killed. Jin-cho asked Jinwoo if he had a second awakening. On rare occasions, a hunter can have a second awakening and can go up to a different level. They want to test Jinwoo as based on what they have been told, they should have only been able to survive if there was a rank A or rank S hunter on the scene. When they test Jinwoo, that doesn't seem to be the case as his mana level is 10. With the average for an E rank being a 70, Jinwoo is basically overly weak as a hunter. Jinwoo lays back down and mentions how he got his hopes up but wonders why they never asked him about the floating window that shows him that he has unread messages. He is under the impression that only he can see it and tries to touch it. He has flashbacks of his time in the dungeon and remembers seeing something similar then. Someone else enters his room and it's his sister, Jinna. She has a go at him about not being safe and getting hurt and threatens to leave school and get a job if this happens again. He asks Jinna about how you would read a message in a game window and she says you would just open it. When he says open messages, the inbox opens to show his messages. The message basically tells him that failure to comply with the system will result in a penalty, and that he has rewards and that he also has a daily quest. Jinwoo looks at the daily quest and thinks it may be a joke and decided not to do the daily quest. In the car, Woo Jin-cho is reporting to Chairman Go and tells him that Jinwoo did not have a second awakening. Chairman Go says that they will instead mark the incident as a special case for further investigation. Cha Hae-in is in the office and she is being told that she will be mentoring new recruits. She has her doubts about being a mentor. The Hunters Guild where she works is one of the 5 largest guilds in Korea. A new gate appears in the middle of the road and is cordoned off. While in bed, the notification states that Jinwoo failed to complete his daily task and as a result, he will now be penalized. He is woken up by an earthquake and then suddenly finds himself in the desert with the giant centipede behind him. His notification screen tells him that he needs to survive out there for 4 hours. A nurse goes to check on him and finds that he is missing. Jinwoo doesn't attempt to fight the centipede and appears to be running the whole time. When he has passed the 4-hour mark, he is transported back to his hospital room where he is found on the floor by the nurses. The next day, we see Jinwoo getting dressed into some sweats and is talking to his sister on the phone. Yoo-hee gets a call regarding being needed for a raid. She doesn't seem confident after what she has been through, but was told that Jinwoo has woken up. Joo-hee goes to the hospital to see Jinwoo, and after hearing that some of the nurses are talking about him, she sees Jinwoo running laps outside the hospital. Joo-hee turns back and leaves. Jinwoo has finished his laps, and he mentions that when he completes a daily task that he gets 3 types of rewards, such as a full recovery, which he uses when he finishes training. He also gets 3 points that he can distribute among different abilities. One of the rewards he gets is a random loot box which he opens in his hospital room. When he opens it, he receives a key for an instance dungeon. Jinwoo believes that the dungeon will help him to get stronger. Jinwoo visits his mum in the hospital and we see a flashback to 4 years ago when his mum suddenly collapsed. She was diagnosed with a disease called final rest, which started to occur with the appearance of the gates. We also see a flashback of when Jinwoo discovered that he was a hunter. Jinwoo decides to become a hunter so that they can pay for his mum's treatment. Jinwoo has left the hospital and is standing in front of the Hakjong station where the entrance for the instance dungeon is hidden. He takes out the key and a lock appears. Jinwoo puts the key in the lock and enters the portal that opens up. The portal closes behind him and he gets a message that tells him that he can't leave the dungeon until he beats the boss or gets the teleportation stone. Jinwoo is unsure if he can beat the boss by himself, but has no choice but to press forward. Shortly after entering the dungeon, 3 goblins drop down from the ceiling. They immediately go on the attack. Jinwoo dodges the first few swipes and manages to fight back with his knife. Not sure if he has bought a new one, as I'm sure that the knife that he had before broke in the double dungeon. But anyways, the goblins keep coming at him and they manage to cut away at his bag. Jinwoo gets mad and manages to kill one of the goblins. It doesn't take long before Jinwoo manages to finish off the other 2 goblins. Jinwoo starts to show off some skills that he now has. Out of nowhere, a wolf appears behind Jinwoo, and when it jumps at him, the wolf breaks the knife that Jinwoo was holding with its metal jaw. Jinwoo can sense that the still found lichen is stronger than the goblins. He has a mini panic attack and thinks back to the double dungeon, but does not let it get to him. The lichen goes back to attack Jinwoo and manages to scratch his face. Episode ends with the lichen lunging at Jinwoo again. And so that's how this episode ends. And again, we got a little bit of action at the end. We can definitely see that Jinwoo has grown because in the first episode, he struggled against 1 goblin. And this time, my man's managed to take out 3 and is now about to take on a wolf. So we'll see how that goes on the next episode. Now, please stay tuned and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.